Hello to everyone. Hello to everyone. I hope at this time the connection doesn't play weird tricks as a couple of days ago when I was in the forest trying to broadcast. Um, First of all, I want to thank you all really for following the page. It's a pleasure for me to start to have a little bit of an audience, so more than 1,200 I think people are following now on the page, and having the possibility of sharing some point of views but also some tools. So the session of today actually I wanted to dedicate to the frequently most asked questions that I get from people when they want to start to practice Nei Qi Gong. So hopefully it can clarify some doubts and it can help understand a little bit more the nature of this thing. First of all, there is one very important thing that I want to say is that this thing is not a business, or at least it is something that I used to live, to survive and to pay my bills and to have a normal life. But the reason why it is advertised on the web, it's just to reach more people so that more people can start to learn this practice, which was really only for very few people in the world. And thanks to Shifu Costantino Valente, actually became more available to pretty much everybody wants to start. But now the effort that I'm doing is actually to spread it on the web for English and Spanish speaker, because I also speak Spanish, and to give the people the possibility of learning the basic seminaries that are 6. We also have 6 advanced on the web, which is great. We can just be on Zoom, we can learn these exercises, practice together, and you can actually become one of my students. So when I advertise this thing on the web, I get the most weird reactions. So I get insulted by people, I get defended by people. It's kind of weird. But anyway, I'll go used to it. I understand that the world is quite messy sometimes. So anyway, that's part of the process. But for me, it's very important that people understand one thing. It's a serious effort on my side. It's a serious commitment to do this. So when you start actually to learn with me on the web, which means through live call on Zoom, you will become my students. So you will get access to my WhatsApp number. We'll be in touch any moment you need. Also, you will be provided study materials. So it's not just one-off product on the web that you are advertising through Facebook. It's actually a possibility that I'm putting out. Of course, I'm taking advantage of the technology, which I think is great, because I can live in nature as I am right now, and I can share this thing with more and more people. And there is one reason I want to do this, because this thing changed my life completely, in the sense that since I started to practice Nei Qi Gong, my spiritual search finished. And I think it's the most beautiful thing that can happen to a human being. I was interested in spirituality. I've been interested in spirituality since I was very young, and I tried all sorts of stuff, from mystical books, from following a teacher of Buddhist teachings, to taking ayahuasca, taking peyote, and diving into some kind of shamanic crazy path. And the only thing that actually stopped my research and allowed me to flourish as a human being on many different things, because also I make music, and now I'm running all these technical and business related things that I hated before. It's all down thanks to Nei Qi Gong. And you may say how it is related to this thing. Well, I think the most beautiful thing that Nei Qi Gong can do for you and for pretty much anybody is not emitting Qi. I know it's counterintuitive, because when I run the advertisement, I show you the possibility of emitting Qi, which is 100% true. It's possible. Many people have achieved this ability. But actually, the goal of Nei Qi Gong goes a bit beyond that, because it's a path of personal growth. When we work with these practices, we balance our emotions, our mind, and we discover a new functioning of the body, which is pretty amazing. Because running electricity through the body, or starting to feel certain things during your practice, it's quite impressive. And if you've been around in this kind of spiritual field or world, Many people talk about energy and all this kind of weird concept and mystical stuff. Well, for me, Nei Qi Gong was a way to get practical into it. This is why it ended all my search. It ended the need of having a teacher, because if the mind is silent, if the emotions are quiet, and you are rooted in the body, you are your own compass. There's no need for looking for other things. So for me, it's very important to clarify this. And I say to all the people who write me after they saw the Shifu Joe video of emitting Qi that you probably saw if you are following this page, I say this. Listen, the goal here is personal growth. We have all the tools to make this happen. So I hope that you will understand this thing as fast as you can, because only the practice can make you this understand. Because I can be talking here for hours, and only by practicing daily you understand that there is a deeper change and deeper transformations that happens actually when we start to practice with dedication. And when I mean with dedication, I don't even mean 6-7 hours per day. I just mean 40 minutes per day, which means shutting off the world. The earth keep on spinning. Don't worry, you will not be the most important guy on earth. I'm not the most important guy. Nobody is. The life keeps on going. Taking those 40 minutes, 50 minutes per day really has the possibility of transforming life. And I'm not talking about some kind of mindfulness practice where we kind of hypnotize ourselves with certain beliefs and we try to change our psychological behavior. I'm talking about a science. This is what it is, Nei Qi Gong. Nei Qi Gong is a science. I'm super grateful that Shifu Costantino Valente, who is the founder of this system, was able to take the teachings that he took from his two teachers, Master Zhou, Shifu Zhou, and Shifu Luo, one from Thailand and the other one from China, and put them into a practical and simple system that is good for Westerners like us, like me and you probably, and to have some kind of structure in the teaching, because the problem with the Eastern teachings is that they are very chaotic. They don't make many sense most of the time. Some of these teachers, they kind of overlook the need of taking the practitioner by hand into the path. They just do something because it worked for them. They think it's going to work for the practitioner. And this is something that doesn't happen most of the time. So 100% grateful to Shifu Costantino Valente to having decoded this system into a practical step-to-step guide. Now, when we practice daily with this system, we are not just working on Qi, on body, okay? We are actually developing the ability of sharpening our attention, which is the most valuable thing that we have in the world if you think about this. Attention we have only one attention. We have many other things, we can have many cars, many women, lots of money or whatever. Attention is one. So learning how to become master of your attention, it's really crucial for developing as human beings, but also to achieve greatness in the path. Because to be able to do the things that Shifu Joe or Shifu Costantino Valente or other students do, you really need to align the main centers of the human being. But we'll talk about these main centers on another video. The reason why I'm making this video, first of all, is because I want to turn this page into a more active thing. I don't want to be putting out some stuff like the teacher dropping stuff out. I would like to engage more, because technology allows us to do this with you personally. So if you have questions, feel free to drop them. I don't know where they will appear. It's the first time that I'm running this kind of free live video, but I will check them out. If I can see the question now, I will reply to them. Otherwise, I will reply next time I do the live streaming. Ideally, I would like to be useful. That's the purpose. So I would like to be able to host meetings where we can discuss things that are really relevant, even beyond the Nei Qi Gong practice. I'll tell you how I see this. For me, Nei Qi Gong is a tool, like many out there, okay? For sure, it's a tool that allows to achieve certain results that human beings usually don't have, because these teachings are kind of rare, because teachers like these are very rare, and because it requires dedication and practice to achieve certain results. But the ultimate goal it's not just to acquire new abilities, it's to become better human beings, fully integrated. And when I mean fully integrated, I mean this very simple thing. Usually we think something, we feel something else, and we do the opposite. This is why we are screwed in life, right? There is war all the time. There is discrepancy, there is no efficiency in our action because there is a waste of energy that is already happening into this thing. So how can we function properly, especially in this time when things are quite messed up, if there is no center, if there is no the ability of watching and become present at different levels of our beings. So from thinking, from feeling to acting. It's very important and it's crucial. It really determines the quality of my life, your life, everybody's life. So when I say that practicing those 40-50 minutes per day, even 35 minutes at the beginning, because the practice doesn't require much time, the first ones, can really transform our life, because can start to integrate and bring a balance into the human being. And that's the really important thing for me. Besides to the fact that we can really achieve that greatness. I mean, when I heard at the beginning about Nei Qi Gong, I actually didn't start to practice Nei Qi Gong because I wanted to have these superpowers. I didn't know about that. I remember there was a guy, friend of mine, who was already into the path. He was a practitioner. He was talking about these special capabilities, and I felt, okay, the guy is completely lost. He lost his mind a while ago. He's talking about fantasies. But then nowadays that I connect myself to electricity, to a certain voltage, quite high, let's say, middle high, it's unbelievable because you think, wow, this thing is real actually. And it's not just because you connect yourself to electricity. The experience of Qi builds up gradually when you start to move along the seminaries. But then it becomes, there is a point that it's really marked in the path, which is after you do the first 6 practices, that there is an initiation, which means basically you become part of the close school of students. Starting from there, you have the superior practices. In the superior practices, I can really tell you personally on my experience that there is a jump. So it's like a fast forward experience, because the first practices, the first 6, they build up all the necessary aspects of our mind, the emotion and the body, and the meditation, which is something I will talk later about. This word meditation, not really understood by many people, because meditations are no exercises. But anyway, I'll do another video, maybe later I'll talk about this. The first 6 practices, they prepare the human being to deal with the more advanced practices. And the more advanced practices is where I think the real fun begins. But nevertheless, I'm not saying that in the basic practices you get none. The opposite. I think the most beautiful result I had in my life so far, it happened actually during the first practices, with something that really collapsed my beliefs and my way of thinking about mystical experience, straight to going into some practical things. But not really important to talk about this. I don't talk about this stuff that much. But the basic practices, they are called basic only for one reason. This I want to tell you. The reason why they are called basics is because they prepare the practitioner, the new practitioner, to have all the aspects needed to get to the most advanced ones. But once you practice them back, as I'm doing because I'm teaching, so I practice and I teach at the same time with my new students, you realize the science that it is in there. It's not just the basic practices. It's basic because you're basic when you start, but when you are more advanced, you practice them back, then you realize actually how powerful they are. And I think Shifu Costantino Valente did a great job. Safe, because with this thing you can really screw up things, because we are dealing with something that you cannot see, and which is influenced by the thinking, the emotions, and so the attention. And you really have to be careful. In fact, he says this thing in some videos, some interviews that he did, that at the beginning he wanted the student to move forward very fast, so he started with the more advanced things. And then he realized that there was a need to go back. And I think this gradual process can make people understand the real benefit of Nei Qi Gong even from the very beginning. The first practice is already an amazing tool from having a healthy body. Even when I'm working a lot, I'm sitting a lot, or I'm driving a lot, and I practice the Xishen Gong, that's the way it's called, the unification of the spirit with the frame, that's the translation. You really feel how that thing works with the body. So amazing. It really opens up the meridians, works with certain specific points that you might not be aware at that stage, but when you practice back, you realize actually how powerful it is. So I wanted to reply to some very specific questions that I get all the time that maybe can clarify some things. If today you comment some questions here, I see there is a comment, but I'm not able actually to find it because I'm new. Maybe I'll click here. No, I don't know. I have to look this thing back. Put your comment, your questions in there. I will reply on the next weekly session. I'm actually thinking and planning, if you are interested into this, to dive into topics together. So to put the attention on certain things that relate to personal growth. If you have certain specific questions about Nei Qi Gong, put it on the comment and I will reply it back. Even if you want to engage on a video call together so that other people who follow the page can benefit from a one-to-one conversation rather than me doing a monologue, let's do this together. I mean, I want to be useful, and for the people who want to go into the practice itself, that's another story, but at least I'm on the web, I'm useful for those people. And that's the most important thing that I want to convey to the people who are joining for the first time or just saw the advertisement and came here. I just want to be useful, and I want to live doing something that I love, that changed my life and can change other people's life. So say this, I'm gonna go to the questions. I just wrote down 3, I think. The first one is related to money. Well, of course, that's the human issue. That's the God. That's the main center of life. But anyway, sometimes I get this question, especially in this time, that I understand that everybody is struggling in this time because, you know, the coronavirus thing, even if you are online like me, people don't have much money sometimes to spend on training, even though they would love to learn this. This is why from time to time I run some 1 day, 2 days discount, only to encourage people just to jump in and also to help myself. I mean, it's a win-to-win thing. It's a fully transparent thing. I'm not doing any kind of weird tricks here. Questions about money. Why are the practices so expensive? Well, that was my answer the other day. The first thing was, I don't know. And then I said, well, these practices are very ancient and very rare. There are very few people in the world who have the abilities of Shifu Zhou and other few people, okay? So as I guess as everything that is scarcity demand, there are few people knowing about this, so the price increase. Even for myself, there was a time when I was living in Mexico, I completed the training and then I wanted to go and meet my teacher for the next one. I had to fly with my I had to take a flight to go back to Italy and to learn from Shifu. So when I think about the work that Shifu Costantino Valente did, I realize how much effort, economical effort, but also personal effort that he did to find out about this stuff. First of all, it was Shifu Costantino Valente was into martial art, I think, since the 70s, teaching and learning, as far as I know. And then he heard about this. He didn't believe it because, you know, as you, as me, as many people were for the first time hear about this thing, first thing is skepticism, which I think it's a great thing, actually. Well, he flew and he went to Thailand to find actually Shifu Luo, who became his first teacher. And so think about, you know, going there, investing money, time, and then becoming a student of this guy, and then traveling many times. So that's the reason why I understand that the cost went up. But there is another thing. Shifu Costantino Valente, as far as I know, well, it really brought down the price of this thing to make it accessible for everybody. The first practice of Nei Qi Gong cost 150 euros, okay? It's a practice that you practice for 3 months daily before accessing to the next one. The price of this practice, I think, was in the thousands range for other people. But he decided to bring it down because he wanted the teaching to be more accessible to everybody, okay? 150 euros, I can understand they can look like loads of money. Usually because, you know, we are used to go to the Qigong class or to whatever, you have some guy doing some kind of movement and imagining some kind of color. I witnessed this thing when I was in Tulum in Mexico. It was just unbelievable to see, you know, how people dive into beliefs and dreams, placebo effects. Anyway, you know, many people think, oh, why should I pay 150 euros for having the first Nei Qi Gong training? Well, my answer is, at the beginning I thought the same. I thought, it's lots of money, man, 150 euros, and then there will be another one, and then there will be another one, and then another one. I don't have the money to do it. This is the kind of reaction that I get sometimes to people. And I said to them, you are making a mistake. You're making a mistake because you are thinking to achieve the goal of Qi emission, which is normal, you know. When people approach this thing, the first thing they want to do, they want to meet Qi, or for different purposes, i.e. other people, or if they're kind of ego-oriented, for having power. And I said, that's the problem, because you are looking down there. The real process happens in the journey. So it's the transformation of the 3 centers that I mentioned before: mind, emotions, and body, and your all being, your experience of life. So looking at the final prices, sometimes I get this question, but how does everything cost? Okay, the first practice cost 150. I say, yeah, 150. And then the second one, the third, yeah, 150 again, 150 again. And then they increase a little bit more. And sometimes they don't do it. Well, it's their choice. Everybody does whatever they want. But what I want to say is that it's a wrong way of looking to this possibility. This possibility, it's a possibility of transformation that doesn't happen when you do those things. It's it's a process that happens when you practice. In fact, I can tell anything here. I can be 1 hour every day talking about things, but unless you do something that allows you to work with yourself internally, without belief, with a system that it is a science, nothing is going to happen. We're going to be looking for the next guru, the next ceremony, the next entertainment stuff outside. So the first question that I get is, how much is it, the whole thing? And I said, you're looking at this thing in the wrong way. Why also? I've been helped during the path, but after I was already inside, after I was practicing seminaries, after I was moving already into the path, because my economical situation wasn't great as a musician, you know, even though I worked professionally as a musician the last 3 years, I was helped. And this is what I say to people. Listen, this thing is not a business. This thing is a way to live for me, to share this knowledge. But you know, if we might need help in the future when we're doing this, we will talk about this. I mean, as I told at the very beginning of this live video, when you become my students and you learn the first practice, you have my WhatsApp. We are in contact. I'm your teacher and you are my students, and we have both responsibilities on our side. I have the responsibility of being respectful to you and to convey the practice in the best way that I can, and to follow you during your path by listening to your sensations. You report, share certain experiences, and validating on saying, no, this is something that it's happening here, it's not actually in the body, or it's on the path. So try to understand this. For me, it's very important. And I can understand the skepticism of one guy showing on the web certain things that already they create skepticism. But I say to my students also, there is a possibility when this coronavirus is gonna relax, or when people will relax, when something will change, the possibility of organizing seminaries in your countries as my students with the presence of Shifu Costantino Valente and Shifu Joe. So these abilities can be shown in front of 400 people with any kind of testing that you want, and you can learn even there. So first thing I want to do is to remove the skepticism about the presence of Jiaoshi Andrea, Nei Qi Gong online on the web. It's a real thing. It's a real way for me to connect. It's a real way to sustain my life while I can be helpful to others. That's the only goal. And now I came with the idea of doing these weekly things where we can discuss about questions that can be related to Nei Qi Gong, but can be related to personal growth. Maybe you have shared some experiences I did. You know, I was a Buddhist practitioner following a teacher. I did some ayahuasca, I did some peyote, I did some experiences in my life, okay? Because I was into spirituality since I was very young. It was my main interest, beside music, which was something that I enjoy in doing, okay? So let's turn this thing into this possibility together, because I cannot do it alone. And I think it's really important right now as human beings that we connect and discuss and we look at certain things together, because that's the only way. You have to put the attention on certain matter to understand the core of it. Otherwise, hearing certain things doesn't really help. That's the only way. There have been thousands of gurus, thousands of teachers, and we're still into a mess. So I think that if we realize that this situation might look quite controversial and difficult to live, like this coronavirus pandemic thing happening in the world, could be an opportunity also to develop a certain change within ourselves that can lead to a better place in the world and a better way of reacting to life. I think that's great. I think I'm kind of fulfilling with a grain of salt into the ecosystem of life in a good way, and that's the kind of purpose that I have. Second question. So the first one was about money. Why it's so expensive? It's rare, there is scarcity, and it's really efficient. It's a path that leads to result in a practical way, not theoretical way. And I think, like everything that has an effectiveness, there is a price for it. And you know, if this price can allow the person who's sharing it to keep on practicing and sustaining the thing, I think it's doable. And if you cannot do it, you have a problem with money, at some stage we can even talk about this, so we can find solution. But first is needed to see the will to start and to get to know each other. Like today I'm exposing myself and talking to you. I'm taking my time and talk to you to show you. That's the purpose of today, to show you the person behind that face, the little face that you see on the next to Nei Qi Gong, Jiaoshi Andrea, this guy there. I'm showing you a bit more so you can understand a bit more the kind of person that I am and from where I'm doing the things from, which I think it's even more important. That it's not a product, it's not something sold on the web, it's the possibility of becoming my students with the responsibility on my sides and on your sides, and the possibility of being connected. And later when this craziness ends, you can even come and we can do some stuff in presence, which will be required for the advanced practices. So let me see if I find the other question. I'm really terrible in everything that I write. I don't know why I write things, because I write in anywhere and then everything becomes like a mess, so I don't see the points why I write sometimes. But let me go to this. Okay, I think it is. Yeah, found it. So, can I practice simultaneously another energetic practice? This is a very good question, and I have a partial answer for this. For the basic seminaries, I think there is no problem, even if you do other kind of energetic practices. Why? I even think that both practices, they will benefit, in the sense that by doing Nei Qi Gong on the basic practices, you're just making your body working better and your mind working better and living experiences that are only positive for you. So they will be good for Nei Qi Gong practices and for whatever other practice you're doing. When we start to talk about the advanced things, advanced seminaries, I'm not 100% sure, because we're starting to deal with a more load of work. Let's say sometimes can be electricity, sometimes can be something else, but we're talking about practices, breathing and contraction, lots of things that do not make any sense at the moment. There's no point to speak. But we're talking about stuff that work with the whole being, and they can be very demanding. So energetically wise, I think when we move together to the advanced practices, we really need to talk about the kind of energetic practice I have to do. And I have to talk even with Shifu Costantino Valente, because he knows more than me. Okay, I'm learning, constantly learning. And I'm constantly in contact with him. We work together for certain seminaries also, where I act as a translator, even on the basic path. On the basic practices, the fourth one, the Nei Qi, the recall of the spiritual energy on the top of the head, is done by him. I'm gonna be there only for translation, nothing more than this. So as far as the advanced practices, if they crash with other energetic practices that you do currently, we need to talk about this at the appropriate moment, and I will be talking to him, and we will try to investigate also what you're doing. So that's a very good question, actually, and I think I put another that was me, a note, say it's not a product. I think I have explained this concept already for a while. I have another question that comes to my mind. What happens if you just learn the first practice and then you say, no, I don't want to continue? Well, the first practice is already a complete system of health. I use it personally. As I said through the video, when I get kind of stiff, because life sometimes, it's not easy. It's not easy. We constantly have pressure from outside and things to do and technical stuff on my computer. Sometimes things I don't understand, because I'm the only one running the whole thing, website and Facebook advert, all these kind of things, craziness sometimes. But you know, sometimes the body gets stiff. So even if you learn just the first practice, you learned a really powerful tool of longevity that I keep on using. I isolate certain exercises and I just work on them. If I really fancy doing the whole thing, I just go and do the whole thing again, which for me is a pleasure when I teach, because when I teach, I go through the whole thing again. Currently, I'm doing other practices, so I don't practice the Xishu and Qigong usually on a daily basis, but still it is a tool that you have in your pocket. And that's pretty much, you know, what I wanted to tell you today. I really hope that you put some comment and that you share some opinions and some tips to turn this opportunity of doing this weekly live stream into something that we do together to put attention on certain topics that might be directly related to Nei Qi Gong, but in general to personal growth as human beings. Because I understand that even right now it's a difficult situation. Sometimes we can really, you know, use other people's words or just talk about something that work like an anchor, just to go back and see things in the right perspective. I think everybody is being shaken right now, but I always think it's for a good reason. It's like when I have my projects that I want to do and they fail, then I realize it was great that I failed on that project, because, you know, in the long run there was a better plan along the road. So I really thank you very much for your time, for being here. As I said at the beginning, it's an experiment to do this weekly call together. I hope that more people will join in. I hope that I will see more comment. I see one, but I don't know how to open it. It's the first time that I live stream with Facebook, so I don't understand what I have on the screen now to use it properly. And please drop your questions there and comments, and thank you for being here. If you've been watching this on the run while you were on the train or on the couch of home, I don't know where, but it's a great thing to use technology, I think, to to really connect on a more personal way. That's the kind of effort that I do, and that I'm gonna be doing more and more, because it's a stupid thing that the world is becoming virtual. Okay, we have to understand this, and the coronavirus is just sped up the process, okay, of things becoming virtual. But it just kicked in something that was going to happen probably later in the future, because when I look at my niece, they are fully connected with those things all the time, to a point that they become even stupid, because if you don't have the consciousness to use the tool is gonna use you, okay? But it's a fact. We have become virtual, but it's a great opportunity, because I can be here, I can be talking to you, no money behind it, just talking. We can understand each other more, we can get to know each other. You can make specific questions about the path of Nei Qi Gong. You can make other kind of questions related to personal growth. I will reply for what I think, what it's my experience. So it's really important that we turn the page into more a contribution thing. And I don't know if Facebook allows other people to post. Maybe on the page, maybe the best thing would be to have a separate group where people can actually interact and share their opinions, and maybe the kind of practice that they're doing. But there is a problem on that. Can become a mess. It's like we have to be really careful about this. I see 3 comments, so I have to try to find out. Okay, I see it. I see it. Great. So, do I have to become an acupuncturist to learn the internal? No. Okay, I read loudly because otherwise it's just for me. Steve is asking, do I have to become an acupuncturist to learn the internal aspects of Nei Qi Gong? The answer is no. We really need to understand the implication of Nei Qi Gong and the applications of Nei Qi Gong, because yes, if you are a Nei Qi Gong practitioner, you know about acupuncturist, then you can really do better healing on others. Why? Because the first superior practice, it's a practice called Nei Qi Gong, if I'm not mistaken. I'm terrible with the Chinese name. It's a practice where we learn to use electricity and to run it through the body using 2 polarities, 2 spoons. It's an homemade machine in this case. We learn to veiculate the energy, electricity in this case, through our body, and to emit it on the patient through finger pressure. So we touch the other person, and we are running the electricity in our body through the dantian and then out to the patient. Why we're doing this? We're doing this because emitting qi is actually a bad thing, because you're taking your vital energy stored in dantian. I assume that if you're following this page, you know what it is dantian, but it's a point located below the navel, couple of centimeters inside, which is like a tank. Okay, it's a tank that allows to gather this energy. We can just use this word energy into this tank. So when we connect ourselves to electricity to do healing therapy with the patient, what we do is running the electricity through our body and then out. By doing so, we are avoiding that we're throwing our own reservoir out to the patient, because it really means to take your vital energy that is powering your whole being on every aspect, and you're pulling out, okay? You see the things Shifu Joe does, it's because as far as Shifu Costantino Valente told me, he just walks around him and he feels the thing. But we are not on that level. So we connect to electricity on the first practices of superior practice, Nei Qi Gong, to run the electricity through the body and to emit it on the other side. In this way, we don't lose our energy that we're trying to store in ourselves. Now, do I have to be an acupuncturist or a traditional Chinese medicine to do this kind of therapies? The short answer is no. It's no, because the working principle is different. I had the same thought when I learned this practice. I said to Shifu, well, I don't feel like approaching somebody and connecting myself to electricity and putting the other side on the patient without knowing anything about medicine. And that was the explanation I was given. It's something that makes total sense to me. The therapy with qi works differently than the acupuncture. In the acupuncture, I think, I'm not an expert, but we identify certain specific points, and according to a concentration or a lack of concentration of energy, we use the needles and twist them or angle them, I think, to allow and reestablish a certain balance, a certain flow into the patient. Because qi is kind of the infrastructure of the body and all the other aspects. Okay, so by doing this, the acupuncturist actually they can balance the qi level on someone else. With the therapy with qi, the one that we learn with the electricity, that can be done even when you do the first superior seminar. After 3 months, you learn also how to heal people using the machine. The machine is in my house, otherwise I would have taken it. It's a bit complicated. I have a microphone. It's a mess. Another day I will show you, but I will not tell you how to use it because it's not it's not easy. It can be really dangerous, and you cannot do that because you need the basic seminaries first. Otherwise, you really you are in danger. When you practice that thing, even though I don't like it personally, but I see how great is the enhancement of my energy, how much I'm growing when I'm doing that thing. You can stay connected to 220 volts after 1 year of practice, or even less if you go faster, if you love this thing. I don't love it. Without having damage, only benefits, which means storing more energy in your dantian. Okay? So, why? Go back to the question of Steve. Why I don't need to know anything about acupuncture to actually do the therapy with qi? Because it works like this. You know, like the underground pipes of a city, they are all connected, right? And then you have on the surface, you have the superficial the space where you open up the thing and you see the pipe inside. I don't know the word in English. The acupuncturist will go to the little metal, will open it up, will put a needle. With the therapy with qi, you just blast inside the whole pipe system such a big pressure of water flow, let's say, that you will unblock everything and the water will go where it needs to go. I hope that this expression is clear. If it's not clear, please put it on the comment. But for me, it made total sense when I was playing like this. So instead of acting according to the knowledge of traditional medicine and going like an acupuncturist on the single point, we'll just learn a few key points. There is a book also that we buy when we it's not a Nei Qi Gong book, so it's our business. It's a book from a good company, very simple. It's like encyclopedia. I don't know if you can say this word in English. All the key points in there, very clear, very simple. So you just need the understanding of few things to know where you need to put your hands, and the benefits will be there. Because when you run your electricity through the body and then through your hand and then through the patient, the thing goes where it needs to go, naturally. So I hope that I answered your question, Steve, in a clear way, because you were asking about, do I have to become an acupuncturist to learn in the internal aspects of Nei Qi Gong? The short answer is no. You have to practice. If you have dedication, which means 40 minutes per day, I think is fair enough. 35 if you're in a rush. You can skip some days. It's not some kind of religion, this thing, okay? But the more you practice, the more you will see the result. So my short answer is practice, follow the method. After a certain amount of months, you move to the next second practice, and then third, and then fourth, and you will see that good things will happen. So I move to the next comment. Great live stream. That's Kenneth. It's actually one of my students. I've been still practicing and noticing the difference in my life. One main thing is my neck is not cracking as much, and I feel more at peace with life. I love to hear these kind of things. I have to exit to pick up kids. Take care. Wow, I put it a like. I really like. Very nice guy, and I really like to hear this kind of comments and feedbacks, because it's the way it is. Kenneth, if I can disclose your personal path, it's just practicing the first thing called Xi Shen Chuan Gong, which is the first seminary. I don't remember if we did the class together maybe a month ago or 3 weeks ago. A month ago, I would say. He's saying that he's feeling a difference in life in general, in the neck in particular, is not cracking anymore, and he feels more at peace with life. And I totally agree, and the reason why I say that the path is transformative on many different levels, it's because it doesn't work just with the body, it doesn't work just with emotion, it just doesn't work just with the mind, it doesn't go just beyond sometimes on certain stages. It is actually a system where you have different practices, and for sure there are certain practices that we say this practice is more physical, like the first practice. There is a purpose because we need to unlock the old system, so the practice is quite physical. We use the attention to put it on certain key points, we perform certain movements. The goal of that practice is to finally use the body to unlock it and to allow the circulation. Other practices, they are more focused on the meditative aspects, or other practices more on the breathing. So each practice is kind of go on one side, but we cannot separate the human being into pieces. So the reason why probably says you feel more at peace with life, it's because being more connected with the body and being aware of the body while you experience life, it really creates an anchor for presence, this so-called presence, I don't know how you want to call it, but can transform really life. And from the very beginning, as I said, Kenneth probably did the class a month ago or something like this. So great to hear your comment, and great to, he's a very nice guy. I like to when I have good students, and I think he's a very good student. So next question, if you think that the person has a good foundation, can he learn faster or skip the basic? Only if you think it's good. Okay, Yasar, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. Yasar Karadenis. Forgive me if I'm not doing it right, okay? It's from East probably, no? Eastern name. I get this question, and I say it most of the time. You might have been practicing something else, okay? We have no way to test it out. So that's the kind of problem, let's say, with energetic practice. Unless you get to a stage where you are able to show to people what you can do with it, we are not able to say the actual level, energetic level of a person. I'm not, at least. I don't know if someone else can, okay? And some people ask me if they can skip. They want to go faster, they want to go to the result, they want to meet Qi, they want to use electricity, all these kind of interesting things. The short answer is no. Unless we can really talk about this, but it means maybe we can reduce the amount of months between each practice, but it's not something that happens usually, okay? When we think about the path of Nei Qi Gong, I want you guys to understand one very simple thing. People practice Qigong for lots of years sometimes, and they have no result. So they maybe move in the air, they do some nice and fancy movement, they met some guy who was in the park, blah blah blah. Maybe a good guy, I'm not saying that. But some people, they practice for a very long time, and they have no actual experience of Qi. They have some kind of little sensation in the hands, whatever. They don't have even control, they don't even feel the energetic point, this thing called chakras, I don't know the way you want to call it, but they actually exist. When you become an internal practitioner, you feel them. But you have to experience them. You have to feel it yourself, because I cannot tell you how it feels like to feel something in your then or in your hand, whatever. You have to practice. So there's no way to test it. And as I said at the beginning, the path has been structured by Shifu Costantino Valente in this way for safety reason and for achieving also the right results. Because, just to give you a little perspective, you learn the Xishuan Gong, the first practice, the most physical one, right? Let's say the most physical one, let's say like this, okay? Even though we said we work on different levels. We work on the attention, on the mind, on the emotion and everything. That's why Kenneth probably put that nice comment in the comment section. After 3 months, you can access to the second practice, which means after you have practiced for 3 months, let's say, then you can go and you can ask for learning the next practice. After 3 months again, then you learn the third practice. After it, so we're talking about months, okay? There is an increase, but not that much. I don't even remember. I don't want to say something that is not true. So we are talking for a path that really puts you already into the advanced practices, I guess, in around less than 2 years, 1 year and a half, I guess. I don't want to say something untrue, but between 1 year and a half and 2 years. So you have prepared, optimized your body to do something, to learn advanced practices in such a short time, okay? So unless you have a real reason and you can really prove it and you have to really talk to us, I don't think you can skip anything. You can just reduce maybe the amount little bit, but there's no way. You have to practice it. It is for you. It is for you because you will not get to that result. The most important thing is not actually to that result of a meeting Qi. If I can be fully honest with you, that's something that happens, and I will tell you even more. The less you are attached to those things, the more things will come into your experience of life, of your body in general. So I really prefer the attitude practice for the practice. I do practice for the practice. I know that I'm taking the time during the day to better myself on the body level, emotional, mind level, okay? And beyond. That's it. Things happen and I welcome them. I'm super grateful. But do not practice with that thing. Do not try to be smart. I'm not talking to you, Yasar. You might be such a nice guy and truly honest in what you're writing now. Maybe you have very good foundation. I don't know. But in general, as a piece of advice for everybody who wants to skip the steps, don't do that. It can be dangerous. You will not achieve the right results. You will be wasting time, money, and some bad stuff may happen. So take it easy, because if you have been doing other things for many years, here we're talking a very short amount of time to get to a certain experience of Qi that are quite remarkable. So patience is the first thing. Patience and I would say the right attitude towards what you're doing, okay? You can practice only for having the Qi result. They will come for sure. But if you will lose that grip and just practice for the practice of that moment that you stay there, fully aware of what's happening of your body and executing these exercises, which are a science, then you will see amazing things happening in your life. So I hope I replied to your question, Yasar. Terry, just join in. Hey bro, namaste. I don't like the word bro, Terry. Nothing personal with you. I just clarified this with everybody. I think you might be a very nice guy. I'm a nice guy too, I think. At least I try. But I'm not a brother for anybody. I'm a teacher. And I'm a Jiaoshi Andrea, which Jiaoshi means instructor, actually. Not because I don't like to relate in a friendly way. As you can see, I'm here in a very friendly way talking to you guys. But I think it's very important. I see Yasar. Yasar, I hope that I replied your question nice and clear. And if you want to talk in details, you can WhatsApp me. I'm going to put the WhatsApp on your comment as a reply. So you can WhatsApp me if you feel it's something honest, it's a urge, you want to start, but you feel already I've been doing some stuff. Let's talk. Let's talk face to face, okay? Let's meet each other, understand each other. Going back to Terry. Terry, I didn't want to be, what's the word? Harsh in any way. But I think the word brother, it's dropped too easily into this word. And the more you grow up in this world, actually you realize the less people you can trust. So you probably agree on this. I think I'm not the only one. So I think first of all we need to understand a certain respect towards the practice and towards also the tradition. Even though I'm very innovative guy, I still respect the fact that this thing has to be passed from a teacher to a student, and having that kind of relationship is necessary to learn properly. Okay? Great, Terry. I like that you understand my point. Really, for me, it's very important to clarify this. And you know, friendly attitude on both sides, but also right perspective. I have a responsibility towards you as human being and as potential students of Nei Qi Gong, if you decide to do that, to serve you at the best that I can, and you as new person that is approaching a new person, to have that kind of respect as a human being, but also as your teacher, as somebody who has knowledge that you might want to acquire. If you're following this page, it means that you have some kind of interest. So it's great that you understood that, and fully on, 100%. So if you guys don't have more questions about this, about life, about what we're talking about here today, I will try to create, even though I'm not that good in being consistent on days and date, I kind of flow with things sometimes, but I will make an effort to do it again on Friday, next Friday, maybe a bit later. Let's see if it works better for you. And to do this weekly live call where we talk about questions related to Nei Qi Gong, but also to personal growth, where we put attention on key topics that are very important, I think, right now, more than other times probably, where we are under pressure for economical circumstances, life circumstances, people getting crazy because they cannot go out. Well, go in. You will find there's no need most of the time. It's just your mind going crazy. So let's try to to ride the horse together in a nice and safe way. And for the people who are really interested into the Nei Qi Gong path as a tool, which for me was great, I say that all the time, with no beliefs, no systems of things to trust, and just you and yourself at a practice, that's something I can also help with. So thank you very much for enjoying. I'm actually surprised to have gone so far almost 1 hour speaking, 56 minutes. It was an experiment, but please drop your questions on the comments, whatever it is. If it is related to Nei Qi Gong, better, fine. If it is about personal growth or my experiences, or you want to know something, or I'll try to come with something. Probably next time I'll try to talk about the meaning of meditation, which is really misunderstood word in the spiritual, let's call it like this word, spiritual word. I will try to get down to that meaning, what it really means according to my understanding and my point of view, of course, because I think it's a quite interesting topic to deal with together and to try to understand a bit better. It can speed up some processes, I think, that are normal when we're trying to look for something. Hopefully we all get to the place where we are not looking for anything else. That's my goal for my students. It's not actually to emit chi. It's actually, first, I want you to come to the point where you are not looking for anything else. You feel fully completed, integrated, no need for instructions, well, technical instructions like you know, the path, Nei Qi Gong, the techniques, exercises, you need them, okay? But my first goal for my students is to come down to the conclusion that there's no need for a teacher if you become your teacher of yourself, even though it sounds like a cliche, but when the certain stability, a certain balance has been created or has been reestablished, that's for me is the ultimate goal of Nei Qi Gong. And then if you are actually on that state, the experience of chi and all the other things related to it, moving it, all the other stuff, they will happen even easily, because that state is really key. It's necessary. We engage certain things when we do certain things, but having a meditative mind, whatever that thing means to you right now, is key. And next time I will try to address this topic, sharing you my perspective on it, my experiences, and I think it can be useful. I see the last comment of Steve. Steve, what is Shifu Joe demonstrating when breaking stone with his finger? How does it differ from burning paper with his hands? And can his finger also be used for the same purpose? What is Shifu demonstrating when breaking stones with his finger? How does it differ from burning a paper with his hands? And how can his fingers also be used for the same purpose? Okay, very good question actually, Steve. Now I will do a little bit of philosophy, just 2 words, okay? Energy is a source, okay? Let's talk it like this. I don't want to say the stupid stuff, okay? Energy is a source. As a source is as electricity. It depends what you plug into that thing in the wall. It can generate light, it can power my computer, it can generate heat if you put an heater on it, electrical heater. It can move things if you put a fan, right? The electricity, the source of energy, goes into the fan and translates into air movement. Well, it's a quite good analogy to express also the form that Qi manifests and how these very advanced masters are able to do it. In that case of burning a paper, what he's doing is probably generating such a huge amount of heat through Qi that the piece of paper is starting to burn. When he breaks a stone, I don't know, I don't want to attempt to go into some kind of technical explanation because again it will be stupid. But literally, at that point, let's say, is become really strong when he's doing this, okay? And he's not, I don't think the guy is really eating with the hand, okay? It's a field, whatever it means. For me, it's important that you understand one thing, that the energy can manifest in 3 different ways, okay? Heat, movement, and actually electricity itself. Because when a Qi emission is made, what it is perceived by the other person is like you are connecting yourself to electricity, okay? But a little bit different. Okay? It's a different thing, but very similar at the same time. Also, Shifu is able to generate such amount of heat that, that's one thing of burning the paper, but also he's a Chinese doctor and he applies that thing to healing people. So even when he does his healing, he uses that ability of generating it. And the last one, moving things. I've seen some video, I wasn't there, of Shifu doing certain things, and or Shifu Costantino Valente, which for me is probably one of the most what's the word in English? Integrity. One of the person who has more integrity for me that I ever met. And in these videos you see Shifu that is moving certain things without touching it. Even if you go on YouTube and you see John Chang documentary, I think it's called The Ring of Fire, you will see these abilities. So making the answer very short, Steve, the Qi can take the form of 3 different manifestations. These manifestations are decided by the teacher, by the master, by the person who is able to do this thing, okay? So I hope it's clear. Guys, now I need to go. It has been a pleasure, truly. I hope this thing can become more frequent. It's a way to connect, to get to know each other, to reply to questions, and to investigate it together. This thing called life that can be quite challenging, quite run on the hills, but there is a way out from it, and I hope that this presence on the web can inspire or can help with certain tools to get that and understand it experientially. Last question, a reply. Phil Jones, what is the ultimate aim with this Nei Qi Gong system compared with other systems? Well, it depends to you feel. I can tell you what it is my goal with it, and it started like this. I'm gonna be very fast because I have 14% of battery on my laptop, otherwise I'm gonna lose everything. My path of Nei Qi Gong did started probably like you who saw a Shifu Joe manifestation video doing impressing chi stuff. Okay, I was I was a Buddhist practitioner, Western Buddhist practitioner. I was following a teacher. There was a seminary. Shifu Costantino Valente, the founder of the Nei Qi Gong system, came. He came on stage. He made us do a very simple exercise, and I saw myself, all this tantric Buddhist practitioner, just being here and not here, and not having control. And I fell in love with the simplicity of the guy. It was simple, clear, silent, and the room with 400 people had that same quality when he went on the stage. And I just ran on him and I said, I want to become your student. So my goal was actually personal growth. And this is what I try to get across to my students. It's not about chi emission. You will get there eventually if you practice. No doubt about that. But it's about you. It's about you becoming the best you and expressing your best you in whatever you do in life. I do music, for instance. There will be some albums published end of April and in May with some labels also. Some cool videos that I shoot. Since I'm growing, I keep on growing all the time, working on myself. My capability of expressing myself into the world has doubled, tripled, enhanced continually. And I'm a better person. I try to be a better person, but for sure I do better things than before. I have more clarity, I have more ability of achieving things, well, doing things. Achieving, then life decides what you need to achieve. But you know, to work properly and to become a better person. Just to reply very quickly, Phil, because my computer is running out of battery. I see 11%. So, Yasar, thanks a lot. You're very sympathetic. Thanks to you, Yasar. Nice to have you here, and thanks for asking some questions. You've been part of this as well. It's not about me. It's about all together trying to dive more into topics that are interesting for us and to grow as human beings, to reply to Phil Jones with this last question. So I invite you to keep on commenting. Next Friday I'll join again. I'll try to make it consistent with time. This was the first time, and hopefully we can grow and talk together and understand more about things that matter. So thank you very much for joining, guys. Have a great evening and great Friday.